Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Six Rings King Show on a new night, Monday night now, baby. We're really excited, actually, to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of The Huddle. Coach, yes! All right!
First touchdown of the year.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a six-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. We reporting live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the six-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards of hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the Six Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
You can't see me, but I'm here. Oh, man. What's going on, everybody? What's up?
You have your night vision glasses, you can see you.
Oh, man, that would be awesome. That would be absolutely great.
Jazz in a bunker somewhere. Undisclosed location.
Oh, man, listen, it's loafer season, baby. It's loafer season, so, everybody's got to be careful with what's going on right now. But, Blue, I know we only got you for 30 minutes today. This is a late edition of Six Rings Canes. We have to push some things back, but this is a wild time, man. We're in week 2 now of transfer portal season, and of course, recruiting is peaking right now as well with early signing day coming up December 21st. So we got a couple of weeks before that happens, and we've got a big recruiting weekend, big visitors weekend this weekend coming up now. Transfer portal guys and high school recruits. So a lot to cover today, but next week I want to kind of plug it already for any of the people that are listening early. Next week, we are having a show on Wednesday night, not Monday night. We're having a show on Wednesday night because it is National Signing Day on Wednesday morning, or I guess throughout the whole day. So we'll be covering that for you in the afternoon. We've got some big guests already lined up. We've got Max from Miami Flow. We've got Flo himself coming on as well. And potentially hopefully some players that are going to join the Hurricanes as well. So really excited about all of that's going on next Wednesday, and that'll be an earlier start too. We'll probably start around 8 p.m. Hopefully we'll get some more guys confirmed, and we'll be posting that on Twitter. So make sure you guys check that out coming up soon. But listen, right now, we've got so many things going on right now. Blue, what's your take on what's going on in the transfer portal right now? I mean, we're talking about probably a couple thousand kids already that have hit the portal in the last week and a half or two. Some big names, right? One of the biggest names to hit the portal actually just went in today with Coastal Carolina quarterback Grayson McCall. Apparently is going to be entering the transfer portal, which is huge, right? For someone who needs a quarterback that's in the Power 5 conference that is looking to make a playoff run. This could be a guy that could come in and kind of solidify that quarterback room for a lot of these teams. But of course, there's so many other guys that we spoke about last week, and then some new ones that have entered the portal this week already. So talk to me a little bit about what your take is on the transfer portal, how it's been so far for the University of Miami, and what we could expect down the road, especially with this big weekend coming up, this big visitors weekend coming up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been real good to them so far. There's a lot of kids pending, but right now, talking to some of the coaches, the big thing is trying to get this last push for the actual high school kids. And, I think that what's going to happen, you're going to see a lot more activity after National Signing Day. That the emphasis now, Jazz, is trying to get a lot of these kids. There's a lot of kids on the fence from high school kids, and we know a few of them. Obviously a lot of people are looking at a kid like Bain from Miami Central being one of them. And he probably is one of the biggest prizes out there. I'll see him tomorrow evening at the Nat Moore Award. He's one of the finalists, along with Brandon Innes, University of Miami commitment, or soon to be signee Ray, and then Nathaniel Joseph, and then Edwin Joseph. But I think that's the thing. Talking to a lot of coaches, there's some kids out there that I've heard some new names, pop up of late. Blake Boda, the quarterback from Cocoa, 6'4", 220 pounds, just threw for 383 yards in the state championship game. He's a guy that's been on Frank Ponce's radar for a little bit now, and this is a kid that may be a potential preferential walk-on. Or if they have a scholarship for him, he could be one of those guys. So there's a lot of kids. Huh?
I hate to cut you off, but this is important because you're gonna be with Ruben Bain tomorrow. He is potentially gonna make his decision tomorrow night. He said if he does win the award, the Nat Moore Award, he will announce his college decision tomorrow. If not, he'll do it on Wednesday. I guess I don't know if it's the morning or the afternoon, but Blue, I mean, you're going to be right there in the thick of it. So if he wins it, he's announcing, and of course, it's a battle right now. I would probably say between Miami, Florida State, and some people are talking about Alabama not giving up on him yet either. So that's going to be huge.
So there's a question in the chat on that. So what do you guys think about where he just not going to hold anyone to it, but what did
he say? I can't see the chat.
It's just a question saying there's an article on 247 that he's shaking up his commitment, but basically the question is, where do you think Bain will end up?
Well, first of all, he apparently had wanted to move it to signing day, or early signing day on the 21st, but now he's moving it back up to
this week.
Well, yeah. Insert whatever you want now. But Blue, do you have thoughts on? I mean, not holding you to it or anything, but
yeah. At this point, I think Florida State's done real well. I mean, they have really done well as far as getting some kids in there. But I still think because of the ties that he has to Miami with Tolbert, and obviously his dad's a huge Miami fan. They're close to home. I think that at first they probably thought that maybe the scheme didn't fit. But then I heard, I think it was one of the guys said, listen, it's no different than Auburn and Alabama runs the same scheme, So, I think that he'll make a splash no matter where he goes. But if you're right, if Jazz is right, and he's going to announce tomorrow night, that'd be pretty interesting. I mean, because of the fact that I think personally, the voting is going to come down between he and Innes. Not to take anything away from Ray or take anything away from Edwin. I just think I was telling somebody today that it comes down to a popularity contest. And both, Innes is a 5-year starter. Bain has been in the spotlight, especially winning 3 state championships in a row. And we have Jude Joseph on tomorrow night, the head coach on our radio show tomorrow night. And he had talked to me, and he says, you got guys on this team that have a chance to win 4 state titles, like a Lamar Seymour and players like that. So, I think that the opportunity is there for Miami. I think, when you get somebody this wide open, and usually you have somebody who's leaking stuff, and they've said nothing. To be honest with you, I mean, I had a talk with his family, and, they gave pros and cons to everywhere that you mentioned. And so it kind of leaves you at the beginning. You're thinking, wow, Miami, and then they'll say something, not negative, but something that maybe will push you in another direction. And then we'll talk FSU, same thing, Alabama, Florida, a lot of those schools like that, they give you the pluses and the minuses, and then you come away from talking to them thinking, I gained nothing.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, look, it's all a game, right? They're playing the game, and and at this time, with the NIL as well, it becomes a business for a lot of these kids. Not only for Ruben Bain, but for another big time prospect that will be committing very soon as well, which I believe it's on Friday. He is going to make his commitment, and that's 5-star offensive tackle Samson Okunlola, who is down to Miami and Florida. He just went on his official visit to Florida, but Miami gets the
Final one.
or maybe he's committing on Wednesday. I'm not sure. I think it's Wednesday actually. Now that I think
A
about
Wednesday
it.
this week.
Miami gets a final visit, right? As I think they're going up. They're going to go up to Massachusetts and go visit with him right before he makes his commitment, which is big. You know, a lot of these so-called recruiting experts are you know, some are saying he's leaning towards Florida, and then some are saying he's not budging, he's going to Miami. So it's interesting because it's the same dynamic there, right? Like he's been doing his rounds, he's making his official visits, he's really, and I think it's the right thing, right? He's doing the right thing. He's going to see all the schools, regardless of whether he has one picked out or not. You never know, right? And so, you know, a lot of people have been trending Miami, at least, you know, from some of the trusted people that we speak to on a daily basis. But you know, Florida's there, and they made their case on you know, on his official visit last weekend.
Yeah.
The good thing, what I like about this, Blue, and I want to get your take on Okalola, is the fact that he didn't come away and he didn't commit last weekend, and that's huge. Talk about that while I order your Taco Bell.
Yeah. Obviously, that is huge. I mean, because usually the kids will come away from these visits no matter where they are. And, you know, I mean, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Colorado now. Every kid that goes out there is committing. And, you know, I mean, and obviously to have an opportunity to, you know, to kind of hold off a little bit gives everybody a little bit of hope. And I don't think that the usually a 17-year-old kid's that savvy where he's going to go, I'll make them guess, you know, but I just think that it's a kind of a genuine thing where you look at some of these schools, you come away, they're great facilities, great history, coaches are awesome, the players who, you know, hang out with you for the day that you're there, and then, you know, just the environment. And then you come away, you see, because that's back in the day, that's John Beeson went to Georgia and they pretty much threw the house at him. I mean, in you could play running back, you can do anything you want. But then there was that visit here to Miami where it was just he and his mom for the last trip. No one else was on campus. They treated him pretty right. And all of a sudden, you know, he came out of the blue with that. But also the fact that Miami picked up a commitment from Chris Johnson was huge too, because of the fact that here's a guy right there, as we talked about. I mean, he has like world-class speed, a lot like Rooster, but a little bit faster type of back. Doesn't have the experience playing the running back position. No, he's been a track kid, but that also weighs heavily in a lot of these decisions made, because a lot of these kids, and this is something that a lot of people may not understand, like during the summer, and they go to these camps or these showcases or team camps, and these dudes see each other and they hang out and they talk, and, you know, they become friends. And, you know, you go on some of these, you know, on the kids' social media, and all of a sudden you go, Jesus, how can the kid from Miami have a friend at Washington, you know, or like that? But it's become a situation now where, you know, a lot of these kids are selling themselves, and now you look at Malagoa and guys like that. Obviously, they don't want to be the lone stars out here, so they want other people to come and push them. And I think they've become, and it's not just here, but I'm just pointing it out, that they've become probably as big a salesman as the coaches themselves. So, you know, it's. You know, I've always been the type of person that waits and then I react. You know, I mean, if there's a guy, it's sort of like, you know, when I'm talking to somebody and they want to know about players, I'll say, well, shoot the names to me, you know, and I'll tell you a little bit about each one, and I'll tell you what I've seen on them. And certainly with Miami right now, with this recruiting class, which is what, top 7, top 8 now, and the portal, which I think right now they're exploring it. But I, you know, like I said before, I said in the off season, this is going to be the biggest portal year ever for a number of reasons. I think it explodes right after Christmas. I
think Mario is taking his time because he wants to get it right. Like last year he came in December, so he was a little more rushed. He still got some good talent, but he's got some guys that he's looking at that people don't even know about. And I know
Yeah.
what's interesting is that a lot of fans want the shiny new pretty object that came from Alabama or that comes from Georgia. And there's so much talent out there that play in lower divisions or
Yeah, I agree.
schools that we don't know about.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So while Jazz gets his fourth meal going here.
By the way, shout out to Taco Bell. If you're watching, we can use another sponsor. I'm just saying.
You could always use a chalupa. I'm gonna just a lot of people commenting in the chat. Just want to shout them out. Ben, Gary, having a lot of fun with your driving escapades as well as your Taco Bell order.
Of course, yeah.
Fernie in the chat as well. And then
I can't see the chat. They're lucky. I can't see the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here Jazz streaming while on his Uber shift.
On his Uber shift.
Then Gary came in. I mean, you knew Gary was going to come in. I mean,
of course he was.
This would get more by the live broadcasting while you're driving, and then
no,
this is actually
driving. I'm not driving.
And this one actually is probably accurate.
Jazz looks more excited about ordering Taco Bell than he did prior to any Kings game this season. This might be an absolute fact.
Taco Bell, at least you know what you're getting. And then then Fernie as well. I think Fernie joined after you had already said Taco Bell. I think he just recognized the surroundings. It might be a neighborhood thing.
Yeah, he does live around here actually.
Yeah, I think he knew you were at Taco Bell by the cedar around it, which is something else. And then Jeff Lynn's ELO tour, kind words for kind of us, and obviously we all agree with Blue, with this on Blue. And then he actually had a question, which is a good segue, talking about running backs and Mark Fletcher.
Ooh, that's a good one. Blue, so, he
let me tee up
came off his Florida official visit, and he's got one more official visit to go, and he's actually taking to Miami this weekend. Again, a big recruiting weekend for Miami. Another big-time guy, Mark Fletcher, coming down to his home and visiting with the Hurricanes this weekend. What do you think about that, Blue? I know we got to let you go after that one. So.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, the whole thing is you know the family real well. Dad's really, really solid guy, and I think that what they're doing now is they're really just weighing the pros and cons, and then certainly, with Chris Johnson. And see, this is the thing. Back in the day, these kids would get scared off because they just got a 4-star running back. Why would you want to go there? But Miami's got a great comeback now. So we had all these guys. We had 6 backs at the beginning of the year. We had a freshman who we love a lot went down. We had, Chaney never really got on track. Rooster was out for a couple of games. And here you were with really one guy and a transfer. And that's and even when Parrish went down. So, and then, Thad kind of like went in the motion and, kind of lost his, deal. So that's what I'm trying to say. Back in the day, Vish and I were talking about back in the day, like 70s, 80s. It wasn't uncommon for like an Alabama to have 7 major backs because you got to understand anything could happen. And it usually does, especially in this day and age, these backs take pounding. So I think it would be really, really good to get somebody like him on board. And I think he's the perfect type of guy because he's a great team player, and you don't really appreciate him until you stand next to him. He's a mountain of a kid. I mean, because I saw him 3 straight weeks when they played, in the playoffs, and I'll be seeing him again this Friday night. They're talking about rain, which would be crappy for a game like Central and American Heritage, but that's a long awaited type of game. Yeah. So you got an opportunity to lay the groundwork, and certainly Miami's watching a lot of the younger kids too, so like Shaman Amadana just won a state title, their 7th consecutive trip to the state championships last weekend, and won a pretty good game. And now they go out to Las Vegas to play Bishop Gorman this Saturday night in the Geico Bowl, which is showcasing, guys like Jeremiah Smith and Josiah Trader and Davion Gauze and Cedric Bailey and players like that to the nation. So, and I know Miami's very much in it with a lot of those kids. So this is one of those times you kind of play checkers, or play chess. And you kind of move your pieces, while you're thinking a little bit. And that's what I think, that's what gives Mario Cristobal an advantage. Obviously, everyone is going to love him. I mean, if you watched him this year, while his players may not have done things and his coaches may not, he auditioned pretty damn good. There wasn't a game where he didn't start and stop the emotion all game, trying to keep and you know what? You never know what a parent or a coach thinks, or, a kid, and say, listen, I want to play for a guy like that, and that's what I think is really the truth. I mean, you don't know. And like I have been telling kids for decades and decades, you never know who's watching, and you never know what impression you leave on them. So, I mean, and I think Miami's on the right track. I feel good about this recruiting class, and I feel even better about the portal. And I think that probably in 2 weeks, not next week, but after Christmas, I think our shows are going to be, about some of the studs that are in the portal that are going to make pledges to Miami.
Yep, I agree. I think it's going to be fun the next couple of weeks to see what's going to happen, because truly this weekend is going to be exciting. Blue, I know we gotta let you go today, my friend, but
I got another minute or two, so if you have another question,
awesome. Okay.
Actually, I do from the chat. If you want to,
yeah, go ahead, Vic.
So if we don't, this is from Fernie. If we don't hit on Fletcher, is there another running back you would target, or is it just portal time at that point?
Yeah, I think you go to portal because you got your freshman back, a kid from a local back. And then remember, how come I always draw a blank? The kid that they got last year,
Citizen. Yeah.
Remember, he's a marquee kid. I mean, he's a 4 or 5 star type guy. So if you brought he and Chris Johnson in, because it's like he's got a year, but he's been hurt, I think you got 2 pretty decent backs. And then if you go to the portal for a kid who's, and remember Parrish will be back, so that's going to be important as well. And then, I mean, Chaney probably has 11 years left, and he'll be like 40 by the time he gets out of here. But I think, people say, oh, he's leaving. He's not leaving, from what his dad said anyway. So,
I mean, his whole thing has been injuries, and Chaney's got to be like he's at worst number 2 on the depth chart coming in.
Yeah,
he's gonna get a lot of carries in this offense that likes to run the ball a lot. So
I agree.
He's in a
good
situation.
That, you lost a couple guys, right? You lost Knighton, you lost Franklin. So
yeah, you did. And but that's what I'm saying. So what'd you do? Go in and eat at Taco Bell and came back out?
I had to wait for them to bring us the food.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, we need to get them on board. You need to send them this tape.
Well, maybe not. This wasn't a great advertisement. It's supposed to be fast food, man. What?
It's supposed to be. Yeah, it's all right. We'll still give them love. Love. Yeah, it's gonna be. I think they go. I think they go the Porto route also. And I think.
By the way, shout out to Sheena, who I think is driving right next to you, isn't she?
Shout out to Sheena, who is driving. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Vish showing you love. You see.
Nice.
Man. Yeah, she's like, why don't I drive?
Yeah, that would be safer, I'm sure.
I honestly thought you were the only one in the car. Why were you driving?
I mean,
I
was not. I'm just saying.
If you were multitasking, you were eating, you were driving, you were talking, you were doing everything.
I was doing it all.
I mean, it could have made for a hell of a lot of views if it had gone wrong, but happily it didn't.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah. That would have been our highest rated show ever.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, man. Blue, one more thing before we get you out of here.
Okay.
How do you feel about Chris Johnson's commitment, okay, and this weekend's visitors list? I'm sure you know a couple of guys that are going to be down here. Obviously, look, Emory Williams is coming down on his own dime because he's out of official visits already. But, Ray's going to be here. The Washington brothers are going to be here. A lot of the kids that are already committed are coming down to hang out. But you got a lot of big-time, transfer portal kids that are going to come. Javion Cohen is actually coming this weekend. He was supposed to come last weekend, but he'll be here this weekend. And then you got Fletcher. You've got a whole slew of guys that are coming down. How do you feel about this weekend? Give me your over-under on how many commitments we'll get this weekend.
Well, I think you know what you brought up a good thing, and I think it's a bonding type of weekend, the South Florida bonding weekend in some aspects, but also an opportunity for a lot of these kids, who know each other from whether it be social media or going to camps, to kind of be in the same spot. And I think that they're going to say, hey, listen, you know what? Let's bring it down here. We got a good group here. We already have a good group that has committed already. And then and then you just mentioned, if you have somebody like an Emory Williams coming down on his own dime all the way from the panhandle of Florida, which is a hike, I think that's a great sign. And how many do we get? I think you get 4 or 5 out of this weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the over-under? Over-under is 4. What do you think?
I think over, I think you get 5. I think you'll get, because just the fact that if they look at what's here and what's coming in, people are going to go, okay, you know what? We can win. We can win next year, but we're definitely going to win the year after in 24, because we're going to have a lot of kids who have a lot of experience. And I think that you're right about Mario with the transfer portal. He's taking his time. He knows, basically, I'm sure he's making contact with the kids. And then again, remember that a lot of these guys, and people don't realize while everybody's cutting down Gaddis and all these coaches that Miami has, remember, they got a lot of contacts and a lot of ties that they've had throughout the years. And, I ran into Drew Davis the other night, and he was telling me that Gaddis coached for his dad when he was at North Carolina. So, so you never know, who's been, who makes contacts, who's going to say, hey, listen, Charlie Strong goes, remember me? I'm the one who recruited you when I was at Texas or when I was here.
Yep.
And you never know, but that's it. I'm looking forward to next week. I'll let you guys know. Hopefully we're crossing our fingers that I'm not stuck on the air next Wednesday night. I know.
That's all right.
We'll Vish. You never know. But I'll get the schedule at the end of the week. Hopefully, the one of the teams, the Hurricanes, play Monday night basketball, but they don't start till 8:30. So maybe I'll get that 6 to 8:30 gig, and then I'll be right on Wednesday night. So I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you guys, and I'll let you keep you posted tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Thanks,
all right,
Lou.
guys.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All right.
All right. So just cleaning up the chat again. Turd 30 will. Let's close big. I'm pumped for some commits this week. Blue call 5. So that
yeah,
that definitely
I'm with him on that.
I'm with him
on that. I think there's 5. I think the number is 5 also. You get some transfer. By the way, he did something that was Mario. When I say he, I mean Mario Cristobal did something really interesting that I think shows the amount of integrity he has as a person and as a coach, and respect that he has for these guys. Right? There's word out there, right? That Seven McGee, who was here on an unofficial visit, an official visit this past weekend, really wants to be a Miami Hurricane. Okay, he had a good time here. He's been down here for a little bit now, training and things like that. Obviously, played for Mario at Oregon, and he's a talented kid. He's in the mold of Xavier Restrepo, Brashard Smith, those kind of guys, right? Shifty, probably a little bit quicker than Restrepo, maybe just as fast. About the same type of player Brashard Smith is. Let's put it that way. So Mario told him, from what we understand, hey, we love you, we love to have you, but I have guys that are, that we're still evaluating, and then there's guys on the team now that are very similar to your skill set also, yada, yada, yada. And he basically told him, I'm not just going to take your commit just because I want to take your commit. I'm giving you a heads up and letting you know what we're doing. We're still evaluating before we take your commit. And I think that was a huge standpoint, because you don't want to waste the kid's time either. If the kid says, wait, hold on a second, and I'm going to wait around, I'm not going to stick around to see what he does, I'm going to go pursue another school, then you give him that option, right? Whereas opposed to taking his commit and then, you kind of backing off, or the kid doesn't pan out. You know what I mean? I think that what he did with Seven McGee was a smart. How do you feel about that situation? Do you think he handled that the right way?
Yeah, absolutely. That that is his brand. Like each of these coaches has his brand. His brand is straightforward and honest. And you know, if this is, it's much better to do that than, you know, just take the kid when you don't really have a way to play him and not being upfront about that, and then have him sitting on the bench and in the portal again next year trying to leave like that. That's not good for anyone. So yeah, definitely totally on board with being, you know, upfront and just have an honest conversation with them. Like they're adults, you know, have an adult conversation with them and they'll respect you for it. And it'll also give you credibility, not just with him, but with everyone else. Because then if you tell him, yeah, I got a plan to use you here, here, and here, you know he means it. Because if he didn't, he would tell you right to your face, I don't have room to play you right now. So
Exactly.
So, I mean, all of that just builds his credibility. And that is kind of what everyone's like, he's an ace recruiter. He's an ace recruiter. His biggest skill is
an ace person.
He's honest and straightforward and to the point, and everyone knows it. So it makes it a lot easier to recruit when you can say something and the recruit knows whatever he said, he's being truthful with me. I might not like what I heard, but it's the honest truth.
It is what it is. Exactly.
When you're dealing with other coaches that aren't like that, and then you have to question everything they say and whether or not they're actually being honest or all that stuff. You don't have to deal with that with Mario. So yeah, no, that's totally in keeping with what the way he presents himself.
By the way, quick update on former Hurricanes, or I guess Hurricanes that entered the transfer portal. I know that so wish them well.
I'm real quick before you do that. There was a question on that, and this is definitely for you and not me.
Yeah, go ahead.
But so you said 5 as well. Who are the 5 you're predicting?
Oh God!
Before we pivot to portal.
That's a tough one. That's a good question though. I'm gonna say by the end of the week, who are the 5? Ooh. I'm going to say Samson is 1. I'm going to say Ruben Bain is 2. I'm going to say Francisco Malgoa is 3. So you've got 3 right there. I think we're going to go Mark Fletcher as 4. And my number 5 will be I think we take another. I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know who my 5th is.
So I will just say, for those of you in the chat, that was pretty impressive. Because as much as we look into this and we study it, when you get called out on the air to start listing crap without any advance notice, it is very hard to pull out of your head. 4 out of 5 ain't bad, man. 80%. That's a passing grade. That's a passing grade. I can't even believe you named 4 recruits that could legitimately commit, though. It's hard to do that off spec without any notes in front of you. So it's pretty good. Pretty good there.
I don't have any insider information or anything like that. That's just I don't want people to be out there and be like, oh, we heard on one of the shows that these guys are gonna win. I don't know, but if I had to take a guess, I'm gonna go with those guys right there, and maybe you get another a transfer portal wide receiver or something like that. The thing is, there's so many guys.
So Jared's saying
that would be great. That would be great. The problem, I don't know if it's such a problem, is that his brother. I don't know if they're a package deal or not, but his brother is now in the mix as well because he just entered a transfer portal from. Where was it? UCF, West Virginia, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, he's another cornerback as well. Like, listen, we need cornerbacks anyways, but there's some guys that we are pretty high on right now. So, it could be another guy. It could be a guy like, another Flip or something. So, just keep your eyes out for some of these big names that might pull the trigger either this week or this weekend. So, it might be more. Who knows? The thing you got to realize is that. From what I hear, right? These are just things that I hear from reliable people is that the event that's going to happen this weekend here at the University of Miami is like nothing that's been experienced before here.
Well, we've lost Jazz, I believe. So
everybody,
you're back.
I'm back. Okay.
Yeah.
And
you're gone.
Low for Daddy coming in to close the door. All bets are off. All bets are off I'm going to go inside so I can have better reception. But all bets are off when you got Mario Cristobal trying to shut the door and close things out. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty excited either way for what's about to happen.
the event that he's going to put on here this weekend is like nothing we've seen before at the University of Miami. So stay tuned for that. What I was going to say is, here, I'm going to, this is what happens when you live close here. But, all right, so the point is, what I wanted to get to with regards to former players, right? So the former players that have entered the transfer portal, you got guys like Jordan Miller, Jalen Knighton, and who else am I missing?
So Elijah Roberts and Keyshawn Smith.
Roberts,
if you're talking about the SMU 4.
Yeah, the SMU 4. So shout out to Coach Rhett Lashley over there for taking our guys. I mean, look, it's not a bad move for them, right? They know the system. They recognize the coach, and the coach loved them when he was here. So I think it's a good move for them. The other guy that has committed recently as well to a Power 5 team has been Al Blades Jr., who decided to commit to Duke. Yeah, there it is right there, Jeff. He committed to Duke. So you'll probably see a couple more guys that are going to pull the trigger soon for the former Hurricanes, and you're probably going to still see some guys that have not entered the portal.
And we haven't talked about this, but I'm sure everyone saw Tyreek Stevenson is going to the draft, so he's also gone.
And I'm sure Will Mallory is as well. He accepted to go play in the Senior Bowl as well. I think. Right.
Yeah, so, I think he have a year? I think he had his COVID year. Right, he's technically a senior, but I think he technically could have come back, Mallory.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, by the way, him and Cam Kitchens are All-ACC first teamers.
Well, Cam Kitchens is AP All-American.
AP All-American, yeah. First of all, yes, exactly. I was just talking.
We should definitely talk about that.
Let's talk about that. That's a little.
Henry Deshaun Taylor to Cam Kitchens. Unbelievable, right, man. Baby. Unbelievable on this team to stand out like that. And
just to think that he's going to get even better now, right? He's going to be even better.
Unbelievable season for him.
But shout out to Will Mallory for making first team All-ACC, which is nice. It's a nice little award to get. He did have a really good year. He had some issues with injuries, and he still was able to manage to pull through and play really hard. And so, good for him. And I guess it's probably going to be a pretty good.
I guess Avante's looking at Colorado.
Well, he was offered by them. He was also offered by Nebraska, maybe. He might have been offered by Matt Rule over at Nebraska or Wisconsin with Luke Fickell. I'm not sure, but he's gotten a couple offers, and rightfully so, right? He was ranked the best safety in the country a couple years ago. So, he's a talented kid. I think it's a change of scenery is perfect for him as well. So nothing but good vibes and well wishes to those kids. I think that they all deserve it. Romello Brins is another one that, visited Penn State. And he's a talented kid as well. I would have loved to have have kept him around. He's very talented, but I understand, he had to make the move. And he's another kid that Penn State, I think, is looking very hard at him. Obviously Manuel is over there, so that's
it's interesting though. That's kind of the first.
I knew you were going to say it.
I had to bring it up that 4 of our guys immediately hop into SMU. We talked about the talent, in relation to other P5 teams not being as good as we think it is, and that's a pretty big sign there. And it's not just the offensive players that are comfortable in Lashley's system. 2 of them were defensive, so it is kind of like that's probably the level. And you know what? Their former head coach defensive coordinators at a P5 school, and he's not picking them up, the guy who recruited him here. So it's kind of telling you a story there.
I will tell you this, and Flo made this point, as a matter of fact, in his show, that the position player-wise, when you go from like those group of 5 schools to Power 5 schools, there's a lot of similarity when it comes to talent. Talent is very close to each other, right? So an AAC team and an ACC team will have very similar levels of talent when it comes to skill players, right? Your wide receivers, running backs, yada, yada, yada. Where the difference is usually is in the trenches. And it kind of shows you, right? And this is not a knock on Jordan Miller and, and those kind of guys, but, I think that they landed in a good position for them to be able to, to do well, to play well.
And this is why, I think a lot of people's frustration, but important in the long run, big picture. This is why Mario is forcing the run game and forcing the physicality, even if it's not there yet. That is ultimately how the best teams win. That's the differentiator. Like you said, there are great skill players everywhere that can get open, that can run routes, that can make plays. It is at the line of scrimmage that the elite programs separate themselves.
Right.
And we frankly didn't have that elite talent there. And so you can have a guy run a fast 40. It doesn't matter if the quarterback's on his butt. Like, and it's just that's where we're at. So we got a bunch of questions streaming. First of all, Gary wants to see you eat a chalupa. So I got to ask, what's the order? Well, what did you come home with?
What do you
I don't know, but that's why I pivoted. So I don't need to see you eat a chalupa.
No.
But I got to ask.
You're gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay for that kind of content. Might have to make a Patreon or an OnlyFans of me eating burritos and stuff. And then.
But anyway, what was the Taco Bell order? First of all, what
the Taco Bell order was small. It was a chalupa.
So there was a chalupa in that mix.
Yeah. 2 hard tacos supremes and a beefy burrito. Yeah, one of those beefy burrito melt things or whatever. That's all.
It's a solid
just pure diarrhea at its
it's
finest.
A solid late night order.
Yeah, solid. I don't know about solid. I don't know if there's anything solid.
Well, it's solid,
hey,
solid-ish.
Yeah, solid-ish, right?
It's technically food.
Oh man, this show took a turn.
All right, other more relevant questions. Anyone pick up Frierson yet? I don't believe so. Not that I've.
I don't think so, not yet. But I suspect that he may end up at one of those group of 5 schools too.
And then, do you think Mario tells some of his players to transfer in their best interest? Probably, and probably not in that nice of a way.
In a professional way, but he probably
but I think
he look at other places for sure.
Yeah, I think it was he basically said he said this at the end of the year. Not everyone's going to be invited back, so that should probably
and some of the guys are going to get told that hey, you might have a better opportunity elsewhere, and they're going to stay, right? I mean, it's going to happen. And that's okay. That's normal too. And I don't think we've seen all the guys that are leaving yet, right? It's funny that we haven't seen too many players leave at the positions where we struggled the most, right? Offensive line, and linebacker. We haven't really seen much of did Keontre Smith finally transfer into the portal?
I did not see him.
Not yet, right? Only Frierson.
Only Frierson. Frierson did before the season even ended.
Yeah, and he wasn't even, he was kind of a hybrid guy, right? Your striker. Yeah. So, and then on the offensive line, I don't think anybody has.
No, and it's interesting that a majority of the players in the portal are defensive right now that have left. So it's kind of,
I was surprised, but believe it or not, I was surprised that Keyshawn committed to SMU and not San Diego State. He was on a visit to San Diego State. That's where he's from. He's from San Diego. But I think SMU, I think is a good spot for him. So
I think it's probably, again, familiarity with the offense and thinks he can do well there. A couple of coach-related things. So we talked about this last week. We're not going to speculate on whether or not someone's going to get fired. So Mark says we should go after Leonard as DC. Steele is still a defensive coordinator. So
Kevin Steele.
We'll pass through that, and then Ben's. I think all that gas hasn't been any of these home visit recruiting photos.
Yeah, but he's been there. Let's just put it that way. He's been recruiting. He's been out and he's been recruiting. So, it's just weird. Him and Coach Steele haven't been in any pictures, but I know Coach Steele was out in California visiting Collins at Champagne and a couple of other guys. So I know they're out on the trail. But look, it's an interesting question, and I understand it, right? Because we're all kind of chomping at the bit to find out what the hell's going to happen if they're going to retain everybody. Some of you may have seen that on Twitter today that Tyler Van Dyke inked a new deal with Life Wallet with John Ruiz here in Miami. And, of course, that's kind of, is that writing on the wall for TVD? Is he staying? Does that mean – and a lot of people are like, oh, TVD's staying because he inked with John Ruiz, and that means Gaddis is gone. Not necessarily, man. Like, let's kind of take a step back and realize that, that doesn't, one doesn't necessarily mean the other, right?
And I would just say, we're all watching this from outside the program and seeing the offense stink, just to put a not to like to sugarcoat it, they were terrible, and thinking that means that the players must have an issue with the offensive coordinator. And those two things do not necessarily add together. And every time TBD had half of his arm strength healthy, they forced him back out there, probably mistakenly a couple of times because he immediately got injured both times.
Yep.
I am not entirely sure that he even has an issue with Gaddis. And I think we read a lot into that. Plus, Ponce is the quarterback coach. There's multiple layers of relationship here. So, yeah, I do think an NIL deal pretty much definitely means that, with life, he's not transferring. I think we can put that to bed. But that doesn't mean really anything in terms of Gaddis as far as I'm concerned.
So let me ask you this, Vish. I got a question for you. Do you expect to see any coaching changes?
Yes. I would say probably yes. If I had to say, yes or no, there will be some coaching change, I would say yes. But I don't think it's going to be a mass firing, and I think it'll likely be voluntary / forced exits, like person taking a job somewhere else versus and this guy is going to school X now. Therefore, when it was kind of like he knew he could stay, but it wouldn't have been the most comfortable situation type of thing.
Okay, so I got a follow-up question for you on that because I think this is an even better question, right? I was asked this question by Lex earlier today on the Average Canes Fan Show. Shout out to Lex always, and to AO over there on the show. They asked me this question, and I think it was a good question. If you had to choose one coach, doesn't matter what he coaches, it could be an offensive coordinator, it could be a position coach. If you had to choose one coach that you wanted to see here in orange and green, who would you want?
Any coach?
Any coach, doesn't matter. Not head coach, right? It has to be.
Yeah, no, I know, but anyway, head coach, I'm all in with Mario, so I wouldn't swap him out.
So
anyway.
am I.
Saban's old, so I wouldn't even make that move. 10 years from now, Mario's still going to be coaching. So Eddie, that's a good question. You know what? I don't even have a good answer. I mean,
come on. All right, I'm going to start off. I'll make it easy.
Okay.
I'm going to start. I'm going to say the same guy, even though I'm thinking about like a million other guys right now. But I'm going to say the same guy that I said on the show earlier today. I'm going to go with James Coley. I would love to see him back in Miami as the wide receivers coach, right? Not necessarily a coordinator position, but he is up there with Mario and Kirby Smart and all the best recruiters in the nation. He's up there with them. He is an absolute dog when it comes to being a recruiter, okay? He can build great relationships with players. He knows how to evaluate them. He did a good job of that at every stop. Miami, FSU, Georgia, everywhere he's been, he's made some really good decisions on players that he's recruited. And as a position coach, I think he's a hell of a guy. I mean, even as an OC, I think, he might have had his issues, but I still think he was okay. So for him to come into this team, we don't have a wide receivers coach. Our wide receivers coach is Josh Gaddis. I'm not saying he's not a good one or he can't be a good wide receivers coach, but it's clear that the wide receivers need help and development here in this on this team. So if you bring in a guy like James Coley to coach the wide receivers and to recruit, I think that's a huge upgrade. That's a big time get if Miami can bring in a guy like that. So that's my guy, James Coley.
Yeah, and so we've got.
Plus, he's Cuban. Come on, he's Cuban. We need a Cuban on this team. Well, we need two.
I think we've got.
We have like the biggest Cuban. What am I talking about?
Yeah,
right?
dude, we've had a Cuban head coach since Mark Richt retired. So just
I know, isn't that crazy? Now we've had two.
I know that's what I'm saying. We've just had continuous Cuban going on here. So a couple of people chime in the chat. We got Corey Raymond here, which is a good shout out. I think that's a solid upgrade. Garrett Riley.
Well, he looks like he might be a head coach soon. With they're linking him to North Texas, by the way. But go ahead.
Jeff,
there you go.
Agrees with your James Coley. All right, this one is obviously not serious, but D'Onofrio is probably available.
Who was that? Who was that?
It was just D. He doesn't even want to own. He doesn't even want to own whatever the hell that is. But.
Well, Al Golden stepped it up a little bit towards the end of the season over there for Notre Dame as their defensive coordinator. Watch out. No, I'm good. I'll pass. I'll pass.
You know what? This is an interesting one too. If we're looking at changing coordinators.
Oh man, yeah, right.
Being interesting.
That's a big one. Not as a head coach, as an OC.
Yeah, not as a
100%.
head coach, but yeah.
I think he could come in and kind of show Mario that yes, you can play that hard-nosed football, run it down your throats, big bodies on the front, but you can still air it out a little bit and score a lot of points. That's kind of Scott Frost's thing. He does a little bit of both. So yeah, that's an interesting name right there, right? Kevin Sumlin.
Yeah.
When's the last time? Where's he coaching now?
Doing?
I know, right? That's my biggest concern though. Is he coaching right now? Is he just like as an analyst? And by the way, I do want to give a shout out and prayers to Mississippi State and the whole program over there, Mike Leach, who is fighting for his life right now. Suffered a massive stroke and possibly a heart attack as well. So he is fighting. So the college football community will fight with him as well. I love Mike Leach. I think he's the best, one of the best, if not the best personality in college football. I love him. I love his style of play. I know that he's very unorthodox and a lot of people don't agree with it, but he's been successful and he's done a lot of winning and he's done a lot of good for a lot of his players. And he's a good dude. He's kind of crazy and I love him that way. I think he is what personifies college football. So, it's sad. So prayers to his family and to Mississippi State, definitely.
Yeah, definitely echoing what you said. It's, it's stunning, been obviously in a bad way. And it's just hope. I mean, it doesn't look good to be honest, but
no,
hoping that he can pull through and at least, maybe even if he doesn't coach again, that's not even the important thing. Right? So,
I definitely don't think that's on
his or anyone else. Yep. So Kevin Sutherland, Ian put in the chat, but actually it's US. He's in the USFL.
Oh wow, that's
Gamblers.
right. What is he over there? Is he like an OC or the head coach?
No, he's their head coach.
Oh geez, yeah, this would be an upgrade.
So Tony's been kind of fighting upstream here a little bit in terms of just like the fire the coaches narrative. He's put a few comments in the chat. I know I'm also in the minority on this too. If Mario wants to keep the staff intact, I'm okay with that.
I think we both are, right? I think we've been fine with that. But it was just a hypothetical question. If someone left or something, who would you bring in? Or I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Gaddis stayed, and I'd be okay with it, honestly, because I think that you need to give him an opportunity to have a full team, be able to field his guys out there and see what he can do. Now, if he screws up again, then that's both on Mario and on him, right? He's got to go. But, I mean, right now, I think that I'm okay with him coming back. I'm okay with him leaving as well. Excuse me, but I'm okay with him coming back.
Yeah, and I think we've gotten very good at firing coaches. And I think legitimately there's not like a coach that got fired. I was like, well, that guy got a raw deal. I think
right. But
I'm okay with trying some continuity. We've done the other thing. We've cycled through coach after coach after coach, coordinator, right? I mean,
right.
And, maybe some stability will do good for the team. Just have the same systems next year and have another year to work on them. And I don't think it was that as bad as it certainly looked after TVD got injured. And I think that is clouding quite a bit of this. We did. I mean, Jazz used to say this like every week. We're great between the 20s, right? And then we could not score in the red zone. I mean, sometimes comically, by the way. Like some of that's happened to any other TV. Like you got first to goal the what and did what there? I mean, some of it was like unbelievable that we managed to not score on some of those drives. But
you can't blame the coaches for
running a
dive play. No, running a dive play on 3rd and 1. Like what you should be able to get 1 yard on 3rd and 1. Like,
but I mean, but by I agree. I agree with that. But I think when it becomes game 6 and 7 of doing the exact same thing, you got to just say, look, it ain't gonna happen. And with that said, I don't think it was necessarily, unsalvageable, which is why I'm fine. If, like you said, if he leaves, I'm okay with it. I'm like, I cannot believe Gaddis isn't here. That's not going to come out of my mouth either. But also, if he comes back, I don't think it's going to be a problem. And actually, Mark, you asked a question, which kind of leads to one of the reasons I actually don't have problems. Yes. I think he did. He changed his offense radically around
3 times.
Around different quarterbacks. And in fact, early on the year we were trying to run it. It wasn't working. He just opened it up and let TVD throw it. Right. And then he got injured, and then he had to go back to, oh, crap, these other two can't really throw. Now we got to change the offense again. So we evolved through several offenses. And so that's another thing that kind of gives
Did he have his issues calling the game from inside the 20, in the red zone? Yes, he did. We couldn't score touchdowns, just bottom line. But I got to give him another shot. Like, I'm okay with it, right? Like,
I don't have to give him another shot, but I'm okay with him getting another shot. Basically, so, like, if Mario's like, this guy needs to go, I'm like, makes sense. I saw that team play offense this year. Yeah. So Mario's like, I think there's enough there to build upon. I could see the signs of that as well.
Right.
Like doing stuff like putting up, 600 yards, whatever, against North Carolina, almost scoring 24 points. Some of these things are like bizarre. Right. The amount of yardage to point comparison.
Sure.
No, when TVD got injured, we were second in the ACC in total yards and like 11th in scoring. That is like almost like these are
weird.
So the
Super
question,
bizarre.
Right, which is why the head coach really needs to dig in there and see what's going on here. And if he determines that's not really Gaddis, it was happenstance, it was a fluke, it was injuries here or there. If we had all of our running backs and had a healthy offensive line, like Zion Nelson did not play. I mean, if you go look at our preview show, don't pay attention to our predictions. But if you go look at our preview show, talk about like we can't get the quarterback injured. TVD's got to play. He's the key. All right, we got to, lean on Zion. He's going to anchor the offensive line. And like all of that stuff went wrong. We're so deep at running back. By the second game, we were
not.
Right? I mean, Knighton was injured before he started fumbling, right? He didn't play the first game.
Yep.
Like we ended up having walk-ons getting significant carries. Like it is just crazy how and
we had
like stuff
3 offensive linemen go down, and then the linebacker. I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess all around.
So for those reasons, I think I would be willing to allow all the coaches to take another shot at it, especially since being totally honest, it's not like this is going to be the difference between winning the championship or not.
Right.
Not next year.
No. Right, exactly.
So let's, I'm fine with giving them all another year to kind of show what they got, but also I've basically put all of my trust in Mario at this point. I know we don't have a choice. Like he's on that media kind but that they're all on. If he's good with running this back, I guess the other thing that gives me comfort versus the other coaches in the past is he's got budget. If he wants to fire Gaddis and hire someone else, he'll have the money to do it.
Right.
A lot of times you got the feeling, like, I still wonder if Manny named himself defensive coordinator because they wouldn't let him pay for one.
Hey, you never know.
Because he had Blake Baker on the payroll. He demoted him instead of firing him because could he not afford to fire him?
It's weird, man.
Monetarily? Like what happened there? So it is kind of, sometimes you do wonder if, they end up in a situation where some of our previous coaches would like to have been, made some more bold moves and like to have shaken things up more, and they just didn't have the money to do it. Mario's got the money, so if he's
the backing,
the backing, the money, he's got his long-term contract. So
right.
So if these guys are back, it's because he believes in them, and if we trust Mario to run this program, and we think he's going to take it to the levels we think it should be at, and back to where it was, 20 years ago, then we should trust him to pick his coordinators as far as
100%.
So
100%. Again, first things first, it's going to be a crazy week. How big is scheme as?
So I think he's saying scheme versus philosophy. I mean, this is Mario's philosophy. And by the way, if you watch Michigan play, that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why he went and got their offensive coordinator. He's trying to physically maul people. And you saw Michigan do it to Ohio State. Like they emasculated them.
But you also saw it. You saw them do it with their backup running back. That's why look how important having depth at certain positions is. And I think they went down an offensive lineman or something. Also, it is important to have those, that depth of quality players, because Donovan Edwards doesn't take a backseat to anybody.
Yeah,
right. Except Blake Corum, and he ran for 215 yards that game. So Like, you have to have that, and that's what Mario's trying to build, that depth and those type of players.
It's depth and it's culture of winning, so that the guy sliding in, he's the issue we have is, I mean, just to be blunt about it, and that's why several of them are in the portal. The guys that were out there to begin with weren't, all the way there either. From like a lot of them were guys who probably shouldn't be playing at the University of Miami to begin with. Then they get injured and the backup's coming in. So not only is the backup coming in, he might be a year away from really being like, some of these kids are talented. They're just like, they shouldn't be playing yet. They needed a year to bulk up.
100%.
Now they go in there. Now they're not on the field like a Michigan backup is, where everyone else is like first or second team all Big Ten, and they're all like, been starting for 2 years. You plug a freshman in there and it's like, okay, freshman, just do this one role. Everyone else has got it covered. No, all of a sudden, like even the ones that played well, like Colby Young, okay, get out there. You were in Lackawanna Community College last year. Go out there and lead the offense, right? It's not even just contributing. It's like, no, you got to be the man. No one else on this team can catch or make a play. You got to go be the man right now. Like, that is just too big of an ask.
Unbelievable. All right, so we've got a big recruiting weekend coming up now in this week. We've got the transfer portal guys. We've got high school kids coming out. It's going to be huge, so we'll keep you guys updated on that. And also, of course, make sure you all check us out next Wednesday. We won't be on Monday. We'll be on Wednesday night. And we'll also be doing, I know I'll be on Wednesday during the day for a little while. On the Average Canes fans are hosting a signing day special in the morning, and we're doing one at night. So we're kind of cross-promoting this whole thing with the guys over at Miami Flow as well, the Miami Flow Media. So make sure you check them out. Lex, AO, the whole crew over there. Obviously, Flo, Max, Dave, E, who is Rasta, and the rest of that crew over there, in case I missed all of you. But make sure you check them out in the morning. Well, I think he's going to start like at 8 o'clock in the morning and run until like 12 or 1. And then we'll have our show on Wednesday night at 8. So we'll have some of those guys come on the show as well, starting at 8 o'clock. We'll probably go a few hours, all right, 2 or 3 hours. So get ready, Vish. But we'll definitely go a while for that. We'll have some special guests. We'll have already confirmed Max and Flo from Miami Flow, and you'll probably see guys like Lex and Dave or Rasta as well, the recruiting gurus over there. Nobody does it better than those guys. And of course, our very own Larry Bluestein. Hopefully he doesn't have a show. He'll come on and do the show with us as well. So we're not going to invite Alex Dono because he likes to shut down our shows. So no, I'm just kidding. Well, we'd love to have Dono on.
We just got to have him like not log in through his normal link, so he doesn't have producer access.
Exactly, but keep it locked. That's going to be an awesome show Wednesday night at 8 p.m. here on the 5 Reasons Sports channel. Other than that, make sure you tune in. Keep it locked. Go ahead.
Because a couple of things in the chat just to close out. So Tori's got some quarterback questions. I think the expectation is TVD plays at a high level like he did 2 years ago. And I think you can open it up, but he's going to win the job anyway. Because if you do any kind of practice stuff.
The truth is there's nobody better. There's not one quarterback in the transfer portal that's better than Tyler Van Dyke. The only ones that come close are probably Devin Leary, who might be right there on par with him, but and then Grayson McCall. For me, Tyler Van Dyke is still the best quarterback that we can possibly have right now on this team. Those guys are close, and those guys are really good at what they do, and they might fit scheme-wise so they can be very productive here and really good. But TVD is the man, right? Like he is, he's the guy that you want here leading this offense. 100% healthy and knowing what he has to do with this scheme.
And right? I don't think there's any way that even if they opened it up and had a competition, no one's beating him out. You gotta understand, like in practice, he's gonna hit everyone in the chest. He's gonna be throwing perfect passes, and there's just no way. In fact, it reminds me. This is my Cowboys fandom kind of a little bit, but when Dak Prescott took over and Romo was injured and he came back healthy, and they're like, we're not going to let them compete because there's no way Romo wasn't going to like smoke him in practice.
Right.
At that point in their career, and they're like, no, we want this guy to keep starting. We cannot have them like compete in practice and then pick the guy who's worse. This is like the opposite. If you and look, I know there's technically no coordination. If TBD is renewing his NIL deal, it's because he's the starting quarterback here. and that's just the reality of it. So he'll be the starter. They can open it up or do whatever. Now, the question asked now is if we struggle, I think he will have a leash of some sort. But Mario's very methodical, and it's going to have to provably be his fault.
Right.
Right. Because a lot of times it's not, and the quarterback gets a lot of blame and a lot of credit. And so I think that's kind of where that's going. The actual pivot I was trying to make before we went down quarterback talk is I think this is from old friend Jack Daniels, friend of the program, friend of the network. I think it would be Wednesday anyway, not tomorrow.
It would be Wednesday. Yeah, if we do win, it'll be Wednesday because.
So I'm sure
we might want to wait because the tomorrow
and Wednesday. Right? So Wednesday night we would have the finals.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe on Wednesday. No, definitely not tomorrow in between the games. But I'm assuming everyone else, watching this knows this. But when we said we have a show Wednesday, I mean a week from Wednesday, the 21st.
Yeah, the 21st.
Not in 2 days.
Our National Signing Day.
Yeah,
early
National Signing Day special.
Yeah, for sure. So make sure you guys keep it locked on that. Follow us on Twitter at Jazz Santana, at VRP2003, and of course on our Twitter handle here, it's at 6 Rings Canes. I can't believe I almost butchered that. It's a lot. It's a lot. At 6. Is it? It's at 6 Rings Canes.
Yes, yes,
6
the words.
Ring Canes. Jesus, 6 Ring Canes. 6 Ring Canes. Oh, it's late, man. We're not used to doing these late night shows,
Well, next week will be a marathon, so.
Yes, it will. Marathon. Jeez. That should be fun, though. We're looking forward to.
It'll definitely be fun.
For sure. Make sure you check us out. Keep it locked here, and of course for the rewatch crew, always sending you love, man. We appreciate it. Thank you for everybody who's listening. Thank you for Blue who had to sign off a little early, and keep it locked. Make sure you keep it locked on Twitter at 6 Rings Kings for all the latest on your transfer portal news, and of course recruiting, coaching, whatever else that we can get our hands on there. We'll make sure we'll let the fans know. Vish, we appreciate it, man.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys. Have a good night.
The 6 Ring Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Ring Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.